Is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Good morning, sunshines. How are y'all doing on this wonderful hump day? Already May 7th. Can you believe that? I think as of next week, we're officially going to be halfway through May, you guys, which I find to be such a scary thought. Like the way that these months just go by and years go by so quickly is insane, right? You know, guys, I actually have an emergency story that I want to tack on here because I only saw it just as I was getting ready to pop up here for today's morning report. Okay. But before we get into that, I just wanted to welcome you all. Thank y'all so much for being here. We've got Gail, Gala, Ashley, Venetia, K Car, Ronnie, Jessica, East Awesome, Tadisha, Nikki. Who else do we have here? We've got C. Lokta, we've got Acacia, we've got Gail Martin as well. Nice to see y'all here, and nice to see you as well, Terrell. So nice to have you. Yes, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't tell me we had another time change. Do we have another time change, y'all? I would hope not, because that would be kind of weird, right? We just recovered from one, and we had a really hard time adjusting to it. So yes, we just started. Good morning, Kristen, Cecilia, Brittany, and good morning to my Facebook crew as well. I've actually linked to my Facebook for the first time, like almost ever, actually, or in the past year, for today's morning report. We've got so much to discuss, including one of Diddy's jurors being eliminated from the jury pool, Amber's daughter, Leah, or should I say Christina's daughter, Leah, talking about how she still wants to get adopted by Christina and her new plan to go forward with that and what that's going to look like in a way that Amber cannot interfere with. Amber is still talking about quitting Teen Mom next chapter. And then we've also got to talk about the rapper. Do y'all remember this guy, The Game? He had this song I used to love back in the day called Hate It or Love It, right? So he actually just lost his house. I guess he hates it. But I guess the woman who gets the house, she probably loves it, right? So there was a huge lawsuit against him. He lost. He refused to pay off his debt to the woman. And so she got an order to sell that house and get all of the proceeds out of it, which I think is just, wow, incredible on her part. And lots more to discuss as well. If you guys find yourselves enjoying today's episode of the Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so that YouTube or Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, knows that you enjoy my content. And if you want to support the show and unlock some behind the scenes tea, extra content, please don't hesitate to sign up to become a channel member. We had 2 videos go out to the channel members yesterday. There was a read along for Caitlin and Tyler's memoir, in addition to listening to Mama Tina Knowles's book together as well. Y'all, I swear she was the original Beyonce. It was crazy, like some of the stuff that we learned about her. Did y'all know that she used to be part of like a singing trio and whatnot? And like she was sewing clothes back in the day for her trio and whatnot. Like she really has always been that girl. And I find that to be absolutely amazing. So you guys, remember how I told you we had an emergency story that I wanted to start off with? The dad from That's So Raven, he has been hospitalized and he is raising money to help cover some of the costs. Take a look at this video, okay?
I'll share it in here. On April the 10th, I was on the road and got sick. Went to the hospital and they thought it was gastric. I got home on the 12th, immediately went to the hospital at Northridge and was told it's pancreatitis, tons of tests. I was in the hospital for 9 days. I got released and I thought I was on the road to recovery, but it was just for observation. My pancreas is inflamed and there's not much you can do about it, but just wait for the inflammation to go down. I didn't realize that I was going to be and will be out of work for quite some time. I'm setting up this GoFundMe. Hey, friends, it's Rondell Sheridan here.
So there you guys go. Huge freak incident that happened with him for him to discover that he had pancreatitis. So he's raising $35,000 to go towards his medical bills, which again is absolutely just stunning to even imagine. I still cannot wrap my mind around why it would cost $35,000 to go to the hospital to get treated when you are a tax-paying citizen. You know, you've been paying taxes your whole life and it doesn't even cover your health care. That is so insane to me. Thankfully, his followers, his audience has been really generous already. I do think that he will reach his goal by the end of the day, or at the very least by the end of the week. They're already at 19,000. And like I said, I only just saw this as I was getting ready to tape today's episode of the Morning Report just a couple of minutes ago. So hearing that at least makes me feel good for him, although still I'm very disturbed that that is even a thing. I don't understand why there's no health insurance for him. Like, he's been on television for a very, very long time. So I would have thought that he would have been considered like a SAG, a unionized actor or something like that, where this would be, covered under his health insurance, but apparently it is not. And I am just so sad to see that for him. Oh my goodness gracious. I hope he gets well soon. That is just so unfortunate, including the fact that now you've got this massive medical bill, right? And then on top of that, you're going to be out of work because you're in the hospital. So you're losing money, kind of like double ending it, right? In terms of losing money. And it is just so disappointing. By the way, good morning to those of you who are just tuning in now. Good morning, Kay Ann, Lil Miss Fluffy, Jasmine, Ruby, Angie, Brittany, Cecilia, Kristen, and everybody else who is tuning in as well. So nice to have all of you here. Yes, he looked, and he sounded, when he was speaking, it sounded like it was painful for him to speak as well, because he was in so much pain. And so I really do hope that he gets better soon. Good morning, Monica. And no worries, Miss Lisa. Do you remember That's So Raven? The father from That's So Raven. He has been hospitalized with pancreatitis and he is raising $35,000 to go towards his medical bills. Tyrell says, I've heard people say they don't go to the hospital in the US unless they absolutely have to because the costs are too high. And I've heard that as well, and this guy, he likes to exaggerate a lot, right? But I remember seeing in one of his documentary, this is Michael Moore, he did a documentary that we used to watch in Canada. We used to have to watch these things like, be grateful you're Canadian, you could be American, look at this. And so it was people where they had to hop on a boat and go to I don't know if it was Mexico or Cuba or something like that in order to get healthcare for really cheap, in order to, get operations, to get things for diabetes, insulin and stuff like that. There was somebody who was stitching up his own hand or something, it got cut, but he disinfected it and stitched it like he was sewing clothes or something because he couldn't afford to go to the hospital. Very, very sad stuff. V says, I find it weird that people come online and beg for money to pay for their bills. It's sad. I feel like I hate that we're even in that position because, again, this is somebody who has been on very, very successful shows for ages. He was on That's So Raven, and that I think it still is to this day the longest running show on Disney. Then after that, they did Raven's Home. Then after that, there was Corey in the House. So I do find it a little bit surprising that he is in this situation. However, $35,000 medical bill is extreme. Another question I do have is health insurance. Why is somebody, or can it cost that much even with health insurance? Y'all let me know. Listen, like I said, my healthcare has always been free, so I don't know about this sort of thing, right? Is it possible even with health insurance that you could still have to pay $35K out of pocket? That is a lot. It really is scary. Hey, sweet bonjour. I hope he gets well soon as well. This is very, very, very sad stuff. And Jasmine, yes, that is true. Thank you for reminding me. Turk from Floribama Shore recently passed away from pancreatitis. And did they have to amputate some? I think there was something about I forgot what the word, sepsis in some of his limbs and stuff like that. I remember seeing some pictures of him on his hospital bed, and it just looked really, really, really rough. In his case, I believe he struggled with alcoholism. And so as far as I'm aware, the father from That's So Raven and Raven's Coming Home and Corey in the House, hopefully, right? I don't believe he struggled with alcohol addiction, but in his neck of the woods there too. But it's really, really sad, really, really sad stuff. It's scary, very, very scary stuff. Monica, let me show you the link. Let me go ahead and put it here in a new tab. Sorry, you guys. It was a last minute story that I thought was really important to discuss with you. So I don't have all of the details on me. I had to just screen share it from my Instagram. So let me go ahead and put up that GoFundMe link again. Okay, you guys, very scary stuff. I still do not understand why he did not have the health insurance. Like, that's so disappointing. But I'm happy that people are being really generous with him and donating that money. I think he'll get it by the end of the day or by the end of the week. Hey, hold my foot, Joe. Nice to see you here. So this is for you, Monica. Let me put up the screen share again. We had Monica asking about the GoFundMe again. Okay, so, and somebody else did ask me a little bit earlier who I was talking about. So this is for you as well. You get to see a photo of him. He was the father from That's So Raven. Okay, so the GoFundMe is entitled "Aid Rondell's Fight Against Severe Pancreatitis." So sad. I don't think that, in the greatest country on earth or a first world country, you should have to raise money, for your healthcare costs. It's all too common, right? Really, really, really unfair. And Nikki says, crazy. I gave a man off the street $5 yesterday so he can get his insulin. Like, it's all so sad. I can't believe it. I really can't. Silakba says, I never understand why Americans do GoFundMe for hospital bills. You see it all the time. I've never really seen people from other countries like Canada, France, Spain, Italy, Denmark. Like, I've never seen anybody from these other countries raising money for healthcare costs on GoFundMe. It's always either Americans or like people from Africa, the Caribbean, or something else like that. Very, very. If you're unemployed, you qualify for Medicaid, at least in the state I'm in. But that's the thing. This guy, I believe that he's made a lot of money. He's been starring on these Disney shows and they pay pretty damn well. So I do not understand how it is that this is the situation, right? Like, I'm not accusing him of misusing his funds or anything like that. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it. Gail says, my daughter, Jenna Ann Martin, she has pancreas disorder. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. When she was a kid, she was in and out of the hospital. Growing up, she has an amazing GI doctor now. Thank God she is doing better. That sounds like a really, really, really rough ride. And, I just wanted to ask you as well, Gail, like, do you guys have, are you guys American? Like, do you guys have like good health insurance where you did not have to come out of pocket this much money? Because again, $35K is a lot of money to have to suddenly come up with out of nowhere, right? When you're still trying to budget for the rest of your month, your day, your week, or everything else like that as well. Very sad. Jen says $65K for a knee surgery with excellent insurance. Oh my, I don't know how y'all do it. That is scary. That is crazy. And so many people need knee surgery, hip replacement, things like that, right? Especially with age. So the idea that you're getting older, right? And then you have to pay $67K out of stop. I'm going to faint. Ronnie says, before insurance, and I have good insurance. My daughter's surgery was $54,000. Okay. After my insurance, I still owe close to $5,000. Oh my God, you guys. You know what? You guys need to come over here and learn how to protest from the French, because it is insane to me that y'all pay taxes your whole lives and you get screwed over like this. This is not normal. I hate to be the one to tell y'all, but this is not normal. That's insane. Comme on dit en français, se foutent de vos gueules. They're taking the piss with you guys. They are. This is not reasonable. It's not. Anyway, you guys, I hope that he heals and everything goes well. I do believe he's going to be able to raise all the money that he needs to get this surgery. So sending all the good vibes to him and everybody else who's struggling with medical bills, medical debt as well. It's really, really, really unfair, you guys. Why don't we get into a story about the game? So that is somebody that you don't really hear about too often, right? Like the last time I heard about him, he was being a weirdo. He had found this like young, like biracial girl at a park or something. Like he had a daughter named Callie, right? And she was really young at the time. And so she would go hang out at the park or something. And then there's this like young biracial girl. And then the game randomly decided that he wanted to start raising this random girl because her home life, I guess, wasn't the greatest. Her parents weren't all that present. And then he would just flaunt her around on the internet, fawn over her beauty. And mind you, this girl was somewhere between like 7 to like 9 years old, 10 maximum. That's the last time I remember hearing about this guy. Very, very strange person, right? So shout out to all hip hop for this story. Basically what went down is that the game has officially lost his multi-million-dollar Calabasas mansion, you guys. He's got to pack up his bags because a judge approved of its sale to help pay off the $7.13 million owed to Priscilla Rainey. For those of you who do not know, Priscilla sued him back in 2015 for alleged SA during a show that they were filming that was entitled She's Got Game. So it was basically one of your typical like celebrity invites all of these regular people. Think of Flavor of Love, Shot at Love, these sorts of things, right? And so they were vying for the opportunity to be his girlfriend. And so apparently the game got very inappropriate there. He denied everything she was claiming in her lawsuit, but he skipped out on defending himself in court, resulting in a default judgment for Priscilla. And ever since, mind you, that default judgment was handed down in 2016. And ever since, she has aggressively been trying to recoup the money that is owed to her. And so the jury owed her a $1.13 million judgment in damages, plus $6 million in punitive damages. Game, at this time, I think you were doing pretty well, right? Like he was making pretty good money at that time. So I'm shocked that he didn't go and try to fight it at the very least, because I imagine that between the two of them, he had more money. And typically, unfortunately, right, if you have more money, whether you're right or wrong, you stand the better chance of coming out victorious in court. So to just allow this, to get into a default judgment, you know, and then to now owe somebody $7 million when you claim you're innocent, that is bozo behavior. Do I think he's innocent? No, but I do think that for the sake of his children, he should have fought this. So anyway, just the other day, on May 2nd, the court granted Priscilla's request to sell the game's home after years of legal battles. The game argued that the home was protected under California's homestead exemption, but the court found that the home belongs to JTT Holdings, LLC, and not the game personally. So Rainey claimed that JTT Holdings was a shell company created by the game and his manager, WAC 100, to hide assets. And so she's already seized royalties and gone after other assets tied to his businesses. So the home is supposed to be worth about $4 million, meaning that he would still owe about almost $3 million after the sale. But I think that it might be a little bit less that he would owe, because like it was mentioned, she did already start pursuing like other, things like his royalties and whatnot. So I think that she has earned some money, right, out of this. But you know what? Good for her. I am so damn happy for her that she rode, really hard to get justice for herself and to get the money that she is owed out of this situation. I don't think that somebody should be able to put their hands on you in an appropriate way, in an inappropriate way, or in a violent way, or any way that you are not okay with without your consent. And so I'm really happy that she really, fought and saw this through to the end, and that, she's going to get her money. Now it's getting sold. So I imagine that the game created that shell corporation after all this went down, trying to hide his money, only to find that if he had just left this home in his own name, he would have been able to keep it. And now he basically just forfeited it. So he's got to pack his bags and get the hell on out of there. That is so crazy to me, just foolishness, pure foolishness. By the way, good morning to those of you who are just joining us now. I see our girl Allie's in the building. Good morning, Allie. Good morning. We've got Melissa in the building as well. So nice to see y'all and everybody else tuning in as well. If you guys find yourselves enjoying today's episode of the Morning Report, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up so YouTube knows you enjoy my content. Bunny says MTV sponsored the Games reality show. They should have been sued too. You know what? I think so. That's a good point, right? MTV, VH1, sue everybody, sue the production company too. Everybody involved in this should have been sued, right? Because I think they would have had a harder time shuffling things around and hiding from her than the game did. I'm just saying. By the way, you guys, I actually have an update on a certain inmate, right? So I'm gonna ask the guards to bring him out. Okay, you guys, guards. Bring him out. We're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about him. So this is a little bit of a Demon Diddy update, y'all, about what's going on with the jury. So yesterday, Monday is when they started jury selection. And we did a little bit of an update on that. And so now here we are back today talking about some of the jurors who were eliminated from the jury pool. And so one of them was somebody who said that she doesn't believe that justice will be served because Diddy would be able to possibly buy his way out of jail, which obviously meant that she would be too biased to participate. She was juror number 48, and she was a woman, of course, right? And so her direct quote was, Diddy has a lot of money to use as his discretion. I don't know how to explain it, but he could possibly buy his way out of jail. She also shared that she'd once been the victim of an attempted rape and expressed some frustration with police as well. And so the judge decided to go ahead and dismiss her. And there's actually a reporter who was in the courtroom on behalf of TMZ who filled a little bit of an update after the fact that I wanted to share with you guys about what he witnessed in the courtroom. So go ahead and take a look, okay?
Day 2 of the Diddy trial is over. I'm at the courthouse right now. We're still in jury selection, and I'm going to tell you some of the wildest excuses some people have made to get out of this jury. One guy told the judge he can't serve on the jury because he smokes too much weed. I'm not even kidding. He's sitting next to the judge and goes, well, I smoke weed every single day, at least once. I feel like it might impair my judgment. And the judge is like, well, if you're on this jury, I'm going to make it in order for you to not smoke weed. Can you handle that? And the guy's like, I'm not sure. And the judge is like, all right, next. One woman said she doesn't feel comfortable talking about sex with other jurors because she might faint or pass out. Apparently, back in junior high, there was a moment where a teacher started talking about oral sex, and when she heard that, she fainted. So she explained this to the judge, said she doesn't want to relive that awful moment, and he said, no worries, you're off. So each juror has to disclose their criminal history, and this one woman said that years ago, she stole a wand from Harry Potter World and was banned from the park for an entire year. And despite all that, the judge actually passed her along to the next round. There is a real possibility that this Harry Potter theft could be on Diddy's jury. It's gonna come down to 12 people. We still got a ton more in consideration. Another day of jury duty is tomorrow. I will be there. Stay tuned.
So as you guys can see, many people are trying to get out of jury duty. Don't forget, the trial is set to last about 2 months. It's going to be going throughout the entire summer. So picture this. You're working hard all year. You're looking forward to summer break. And then boom, someone asks you to sit on a damn jury. Granted, for the Diddy case, that's going to be rather interesting, right? You're going to have a story to tell for the rest of your life, being a part of one of the most iconic cases of all time. I think this is going to be right up there with the OJ trial of it all, right? But still, some other people are not as celebrity obsessed as we are. And so they prefer to kind of, sit this sort of thing out and, enjoy their summer with their family, their friends, their kids and whatnot. So they're trying everything they can to get out of serving on this jury. So some of the excuses that the reporter listed that he heard over there were absolutely hilarious, like the wand theft, just all sorts of, I'm too high for this, like Hold My Foot Joe was mentioning a little bit earlier. It is so crazy. Oh my God. I'm really looking forward to just getting all of this out of the way, right? I don't blame them for not wanting to participate in this, but like I really hope that we do find some people who are ready to take this seriously so that they can help serve justice to Sean P. Demon Combs, right? And I agree with you, Bunny. I think that watching Diddy's tapes would be uncomfortable for a lot of jurors because it is true. There are a lot of people who go through things in life, and right, and you really never know what is going to trigger your trauma to come back up there, right, and bubble back up to the surface. And so I am happy that the judge is at least being sensitive to some of those things, right? Like there was a story about how like a teacher and oral X and whatnot, these things that like the fainting. And so, you know, at face value, you go, wait, what? But the judge was very sympathetic to that sort of thing. And so I'm happy that they were able to, you know, be dismissed from jury duty. You know, did you guys ever, speaking of jury duty, did you guys ever watch that show on Amazon Prime? Because I watched that last summer and some of this stuff reminds me of that. There was this one person, right, where they're like, sorry, I can't be on the jury. I'm racist or something like that. And it's all just like a scripted and whatnot, right? They're acting. But I just thought that was absolutely hilarious. And these are the kinds of like, you know, crazy, you know, sort of excuses that I imagine that judges have heard lots of over the years, right? I do have a question for you, those of you watching me in the live chat, and those of you who are a part of my playback posse. So mic check 1 2 1 2. Please let me know in the live chat if you're here live, or if you're part of the playback posse, let me know in the comment section. If you lived in New York and you got the notice, the summons telling you that you have to show up and be screened as a potential juror for the Diddy case, would you try to get out of it, or would you actually really want to serve on this jury? Let me know, okay? Because I'm actually really curious. For me personally, listen, my summer is already planned out, right? My June is already full. Y'all know I'm going to be going to Barcelona. I'm going to be going to Mallorca, Ireland, and then coming back and partying in Paris, right? So for me now in this case, and you have to think about your life as it is now, because this is going to start in June, right? So your June, based off of what it looks like now, would you do it? For me, ordinarily, if I had an empty June, yeah, hell yeah, I would jump on the opportunity. However, based off of what I've got going on, no, I wouldn't be able to do it, right? But I think that overall, this is something that would interest me, to be honest, right? Jalisa says, absolutely not. I wouldn't want to, and I do not blame you, right? Like there is a lot of very sensitive information that you're going to learn in there. Sweet Bonjour says, I would want to serve. I'm nosy, and that is my thing too. I want to know everything because the reporters, they're not able to record, and there's no camera. So you're never going to get the full picture, and they're not going to be able to convey the way, the energy, the everything. You have to be in there to know that stuff, to feel that stuff, to perceive that stuff, right? And so those are the things that I'd want to be there for, right? Venetia says, I wouldn't want to. And again, I do not blame you. Bunny says over 700 received the summons. They said they all showed up. Oh, wow. And they were told. So they didn't know before they showed up. Imagine the shock, right? And then Diddy walks in there too. Like, oh my God, that's crazy. And he looks nothing like you imagine he looked like, right? Because the last time we saw him, let me pull up the picture of Diddy, right? Hang on. Where was he? Here he was. This is like one of the last times we saw him, right? Just like out looking regular. Like the last time we saw him like in good photos, right? But then like of all the court sketches we're seeing of him, he looks like a shell of his former self. So that would have been just absolutely crazy, 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 crazy. Live not. Oh my goodness gracious. So I'm seeing a lot of people who are saying hell no, hell no, hell no. So okay, then we're getting some yes as well, right? Okay. And don't forget, you guys, if you serve on a jury, like you're there like 8 hours a day, right? So imagine for your summer, you're there 8 hours a day. Like Acacia says, you have to give up your summer, and this would last at least a month. So it's tough. You know, if they were doing this in the fall, if they were doing this in the winter, any other time, hell yeah. But the summer's really tough. Listen, we work all year to look forward to our damn summers. Please don't take those away from us. Now, you guys, why don't we get into the prom of it all? Kill Lowry, former star of MTV's Teen Mom 2, accompanied her son Isaac off to prom. And so there he is, all spiffy in his blue suit. I really love this suit that he's wearing. Here's another photo of him, but this time accompanied by his younger brother, Lincoln. Super, super cute. And mind you, they did talk about it on this week's episode of that like Frenemies podcast that she does with Becky. basically what happened is that Becky decided to come back into town. Her wife was working nights. And so she said, let me go into Delaware, see what's up, help them pick out Isaac's prom suit. And so they did a lot of shopping. They found the perfect suit for him. Everybody was really happy. Kale found some suits for herself for other occasions that she's going to be going off to and whatnot. And, I just want to let you guys know that there are photos circulating of Isaac and his date online, and I have seen them. However, because they were not shared by Kale or, even on Isaac's Instagram, I'm not going to share them here on my platform, but I saw them and I thought they were really cute. And I really hope that the two of them had a great time. What I can tell you, though, because Kale did mention it on the podcast, was that the date is the one who asked Isaac. That was the one who did the promposal. So I think that was really sweet that he got asked. He got his little promposal and whatnot. And then Becky had a little bit of a comment to make, just to, because this is something that had been going around online already, which is that Kale kind of flaked on the baby shower. But it was for good reason. Basically, Kale RSVP'd yes before realizing that actually, wait a minute, Isaac had his debate competition and also prom on the same day. So it just was not going to be possible for her to leave the state to head over there for the baby shower. Okay, you guys. So just a little bit of an update on that. Mims, I was thinking about you. I wanted to DM you because I was like, wait a minute, was he not supposed to be in Paris at some point? When are you coming through? So nice to see you. A drug addict going through withdrawals with no hair dye. Damn. He never, ever holds back. Oh my goodness. It's so nice to see you, boo. When are you coming to Paris? I've been waiting for you. Like, come on now. You only got a couple of weeks before I get out of here for the month. I'm not going to be here for the month of June. Let me see what some of y'all. And by the way, he was referring to Diddy, right? When we were talking about how Diddy completely changed from what he typically looked like. So these days he is like half the weight he was here. Hair is gray, beard is gray, teeth are yellow. So that's what Mim says when he's a rug addict going through withdrawals with no hair dye. Bunny has an update. 2 prospective jurors are in trouble because one juror called the wife. What do you mean called the wife? Like insulted the wife or something like that? Damn. And you know what, Shelby, you're right too. Don't forget the car exploding, right? There's an awful lot of stuff associated with this guy. So I'm not surprised that people are cautious about getting involved in this because listen, we all know he's got goons, right? So you do want to be careful. Acacia says, I wonder who released all his prom pics on TikTok. These kids have no privacy. Sad. I know. I was really disappointed to see that as well. I hope that he got a lot of positive comments in regards to his prom stuff. But listen, I've been on the internet long enough to know there are a lot of crazy people out there and that he probably got a lot of hate for his prom date and whatnot. And I'm just really, really sad about that. I wish that people would have respected his privacy. But to be honest with you, I think that because they're all kids and they're all on social media, they like his friends probably, maybe even his date, they shared these photos, right? But I don't know. I feel like if he doesn't share it on his official, and his mom doesn't share it on her official, it's best to just not circulate those images, right? Not that there's anything wrong with any of it, but just for that reason. Make It Mim says, my trip to Morocco, oh no, got canceled. I was going to stop in Paris while I was en route. So sorry to hear that. Morocco is so beautiful too. I hope you get to make it there another time, maybe later this year, maybe next year, who knows? But I'm really looking forward to seeing you, Mims. I was so excited too. Oh my goodness. Sweet bonjour. That was a handsome. Yes, he was super, super, super duper handsome. They made a really beautiful couple. Vinny says, did you see Lindsay's comment on Kale's post about prom? No, I didn't. What did she say? Spill that tea, please, Minnie. Let me bookmark this comment so that I know to come back. Oh, Michelle, you see, this is how I know you're a good person, right? Because to a normal good person like you do not see anything to hate on. But there are a lot of very like not normal, not nice people on the internet. So, the sex of his date, the race of his date, these sorts of things are the things that people, unfortunately, still in 2025 find the time, find the energy, find the motivation to hate on. And so, yeah, very, very, very sad stuff. And so now just another quick comment back to the Diddy of it all. Thank you so much, by the way, Bunny, for this update. Bunny says jurors are not allowed to talk about the case. The jurors knew each other. Oh, okay, there it is. One couldn't wait to tell her friend. The husband is also on the case. The husband wasn't allowed to check his phone. So can you imagine that? You're so excited to be a part of history, right? With this case. It sounded like this person actually wanted to be involved in everything. But unfortunately, because she's a little bit of a blabbermouth, she's cheated herself out of the opportunity and is now eliminated from the jury pool. You got to be careful. You cannot share too damn much. Very disappointing for her. I know she's kicking herself. Minnie says she just, and thanks, by the way, Bunny, for that update. Minnie says she just said proud of him, and I don't like that comment given the fact that pictures weren't shared by them. Ooh, listen, I hope that, you know what, I'm not even going to go there. I'm happy that like she at least shared some verbal support, but it does seem kind of dry, not even an emoji, like, you know, all these sorts of things. All right, Lindsay. All right. We'll keep one good eye on you, girl. We'll keep one good eye on you. Now, you guys, we're still not done with the teen mom news. We actually have quite a bit today in today's morning report before we round things up with a recap of the Valley. So I think, was it you, Tadisha, or is it you, Allie? I think it was Allie who said that she was late today because she was wrapping up the Valley. Listen, you know what? T'as bien fait. You did well to do that because we're going to get into the Valley after this last story from Teen Mom. Okay, you guys. So basically, Amber is yet again claiming that she has walked away, retired from Teen Mom Next Chapter. Whether or not this is true remains to be seen because she's been pulling this for years, and yet she still comes back year after year. I personally think that at this point, her storyline is done. Her daughter wants no contact with her. She can't see her son either. He's in a different state. And so what is there to film about? And in my opinion, it is not healthy to constantly be putting Leah in positions to be ambushed by adults who she doesn't even really know like that, answering questions about her trauma surrounding her mother. So I really hope that for Leah's sake, they do, you know, kind of just cut them as a segment at this point moving forward. If they're not interested in just focusing on Gary as a father in a blended family, you know, I think it's enough. Like, unfortunately, Leah has been ambushed like 3-4 times this season, a couple of times last season as well. She's also been forced to have interactions with Amber just for the cameras against her will. And so at this point, like, I'm hoping that it's over, to be honest with you guys. Another thing that I saw about Amber was that, do you guys remember the Nickelodeon documentary Quiet on Set, and how that spoke about Dan Schneider and his alleged abuses of the child stars and some of the other people in positions of power in Hollywood and especially Nickelodeon, right? Well, Amber, when she was doing one of her TikTok live meltdowns, she kind of mentioned that she was approached to be, you know, featured on that. She's got years and years worth of photos, videos, and audio tapes that would incriminate people. So my conclusion from seeing that was that Amber was essentially implying that the people on Teen Mom, right, whether it's producers or what have you, they were acting inappropriately with these youngsters, is what she's claiming. You know, whether it's herself, whether it's other people, I do not know. But I do find that to be a little bit like, I hope you're not lying, right? I hope wait, here's the thing. First of all, I hope it's not true, because I would hate to hear about anything having happened to any of them, right? Second of all, I would hate also that you would lie about something like this and to shed that kind of, you know, bad light on people, you know, that you work with and whatnot. Like, that's not fair to people, right? So very, very weird stuff. I'm not sure what to even say, to be honest with you guys, because I don't get it, right? I really do not understand Amber at all. So I'm just going to leave that at that. That was something that she mentioned during her rant. I just wanted to let you guys know. And thank you so much, Tyrell, my fellow Canadian girlie. So nice to have you here. Hey, Cammie, so nice to see you, boo. Good morning, sunshine. Indeed. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Now, you guys, I think I did have another update, actually. And you know what I'm thinking? I actually have to plug in my phone. It's going to die. So give me a second. You know what? We're about to do a quick little break, okay? And then I'm going to plug in my phone before it dies. I have to like run right after this. I'm going to do Aikido with my friend. So I really need to make sure that it's charged by the time I get out of here. So if you, I'm going to do a word from some of our sponsors. And then on the flip side, we're going to continue with Leah talking about wanting to get adopted by Christina and more, including a recap of the Valley. Okay, you guys, if you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than Rothia. Rothia is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today.
PR, I might need you to be my PR girly. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, we are back. My phone is plugged in and I am ready to talk about the Leah of it all. By the way, good morning, Shem. So glad you're here, boo. So basically, do you remember how on this season of the show, one of the storylines was how Leah wanted to be adopted by Christina, right? And so now they're worried that Amber would come between that just to, you know, really just to act like she's like the best mom and, you know, like she wants to be involved and whatnot. So it seems as though Leah's new plan is just to wait until she's 18, which is soon, right? So just a little bit of a heads up on that. So let's get into that. So Gary and Leah did an interview with People magazine in which they talked about some of the fans of the show and what's going on in their lives. And so Gary says that he's got people messaging him saying, and I quote, "You need to be nicer to Amber. Leah needs to forgive her mom. It's not Amber's fault. You guys, that sort of thing," right? And so he says, listen, I need you guys to remember that, first of all, this is a show. You do not actually know us. You do not know the full extent of what's going on in our family dynamics, okay? So let me just set the scene there, right? And on top of that, we, myself and Leah, have been trying for several years to have a relationship, but when someone else isn't putting the time and effort, at a certain point, you got to throw up your hands, right? So he also continued on to say, and I quote, "I get where people are coming from, and they're not the majority. They might just be in a similar situation, i.e. they might be like the kind of like the deadbeats in their situation, and that's why they overly identify with Amber." And so she says, so he says, like, I get that side of it, but don't forget, you guys, it's just a show. And just so you know, we do have a lot of very positive interactions that you have not seen on that show, right? And then Leah, when it came to her time to talk about what's going on in her life and whatnot, she says, and I quote, "Seeing my dad," right? "My dad and Amber." So there you go. She still cannot bring herself to refer to this woman as her mom, right? And it's heartbreaking on one hand because, you know, you remember the young Leah who really, really loved Amber and was calling her mommy and would follow her to the bathroom because she didn't know the next time she would be seeing this woman. Like, she just wanted to have that attachment, that bond, and now it's completely dead, right? Like, wow. So anyway, seeing them go through their journey can be embarrassing because they've had a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs from what I've seen. It's weird to see what they were like at my age when they had a completely different life and were just starting off on TV. For me, having my life captured on TV has been a blessing. I like being able to share my story and help other people who have gone through some of the things I've been through. I'm looking forward to prom and finishing up school in the next couple years and starting to work on my career in nursing. I'm also excited to get officially adopted in the upcoming year or so. So there you go, you guys. So Isaac is off to prom, right? Leah's next. All of these kids, they're coming up prom. Meaning they're what, 17, 18, which means that Leah, she knows, Gary knows, Christina knows that Amber would just try to take the piss out of this adoption thing. So they want to do it in a way and at a time where Amber cannot interfere because it would be an adult adoption, right? And so I'm really happy for them that they still want to go ahead and go through with this. I love their beautiful, adorable little family and whatnot. And so I definitely wish them nothing but the best. And I really, really hope that everything turns out well for them. Cammy says, I hope Christina does adopt her when she's 18. Adult adoption is a real thing. It sure is. Did y'all ever watch that like weird show, by the way? This is nothing like to do with that dynamic, but there was a show, it was kind of odd. It was on TLC and it was specifically about like adults being adopted by other adults and whatnot. Like some of the stories were like harrowing. Some of them were like, oh, what's really going on here, right? But it was a very, very interesting show. And yeah, I think that this is ultimately going to go through, and I'm really, really excited for them about that. Once again, hey, Shem, nice to see you. Jaleesa says, Amber is full of ish, and I completely agree. Leah, watch the rest of these kids will be telling their stories, especially Jace. I agree. And I'm so happy that they get to, right, in a way that is unfiltered and raw and authentic to them. We already saw Leah drag Amber on the most recent episode of Next Chapter. She said she was an attention seeker. She was mean. She was the problem in all her relationships, but too effed up to see it. Like she went in on that woman. And I think that this is just the beginning. And you know what? I think she's so pretty, you know, like seeing all of the kids together, they were all absolutely gorgeous. And I just love the way that, they were all dressed as kids and everything like that. And it was so, so sweet and so cute. And you're right. She and her dad have the same kind of like resting expression. And it's always so cute when you're able to pick up kind of like the similarities between the parents and their children and whatnot. And hey, Misha, my Ottawa girl, so nice to see you. And thanks for becoming a member. It is so nice to have you. I hope you enjoyed the videos I put out there yesterday. So my members yesterday, I read chapter 9 of Caitlin and Tyler's book. We're almost done. I think chapter 10 is the final one. And then we also got into Miss Tina's book and how she was the original Beyonce before there was Beyonce. And it was so, so good. Tyrell says, sadly, first 3 years are most important. Yep. And Amber and Janelle screwed up their kids at that age. My heart breaks for the kids. Now they are traumatized. Amber and Janelle can kid themselves, but that's what it is, all for show. They are pathetic excuses for parents. And it's so devastating to imagine that, right? That, you know, so many years of Leah's life have been so beautiful and going so right and everything. But and this is the same for like a Bentley. This is the same for like a Jace, right? For Bentley, it's the father wound, right? But just that thing, like there's this kind of like hole there. And it's just really, really sad. Gail says, poor Leah, I really hope that her and Christina can really adopt her, because that's what Leah really wants. She said she hasn't seen her mom for over 9 months now. Insane. That's a long time to not see your daughter, right? And I completely agree. In fact, Amber was like kind of like being incredulous about that on the TikTok. She was saying, oh, well, the only reason I haven't seen her is because she blocked me or something like that. Like there's always some kind of excuse with her. In the past, when she hadn't seen her daughter in a long stretches of time, before her daughter even had a phone to block her with, it was, oh, I'm in a relationship. Oh, I'm going through a breakup. Oh, I'm sad. I can't be bothered. This sort of, just always some kind of an excuse. Julissa says, oh, Grace, did you see DDG talking about, I want to see myself? Oh God, listen, I do not understand why these young Hollywood girls go down this like baby mama route. Halle Berry, you were at the pinnacle of your career right there with Little Mermaid and whatnot. And this is what you decided to do with your life. God bless. God bless. I don't know why they do it. You know what? If she likes it, I love it for her. Like, you know, like at this point, we all know what it is. We all know how to prevent these things. And yet, you know, these girls, I don't even know what to say. Right. And with DDG of all people, girl, of all people. Anyway, Lex says that old guy, right? Wasn't that so weird? Like some of them were really, really creepy storylines. Right. So voila. And he did look like he had a great time indeed. Tyrell says, my half-brother got adopted by his stepdad when he no longer needed to try to find out. Exactly. I like the symbolic nature of this sort of thing, because it is true that sometimes you have parents who do not want to step up, but they also do not want to step aside either. And so, you know, it forces you to wait longer than you would have ordinarily. Now, you guys, why don't we get into a recap of what went down on last night's episode of The Valley, y'all. The Valley. Listen, I love this show. If you're not watching it already, I got to say that you are missing out. It's a really, really good show, right? And I do admit that it's a show that I didn't want to get into. I didn't want to love, but y'all convinced me, especially you, Jaleesa, and I am converted, okay? So the episode kicked off with Michelle on a date with her boyfriend at a restaurant. And I said, listen, I know what Michelle's type is. She likes men with light hair and big eyes, because he's actually very similar to her ex, Jesse Jessie Lally, because Jessie Lally also has like very big, expressive, kind of like Bambi-like eyes and whatnot. And so that was something that kind of like reminded me of, that kind of just stuck out to me when I was seeing them. So the whole crew, they went to Santa Barbara together for a vacation organized by Jessie, right? And in episode 3, it was so funny that Jessie's ex-wife, Michelle, was trying to vote him out of the house that he organized and booked for the vacation, and it didn't work. And so she had a meltdown and started crying about it. Like, I'm sorry, but this was just reality television gold. So when everybody arrived to the house, Jessie handed out these white flags to symbolize, listen, we're leaving the drama behind us. We're going to have a good time here. And so everybody took the flags, but Michelle at first, right? She's like, I don't want the flag. But then eventually she did end up taking hers, which thank God, because that really is the goal here, right? To move forward. And so while Jax was in rehab, by the way, what kind of rehab is this man in? Because here he is still texting Brittany, right? He's got too much access to his phone and he's sending her messages that are like showing that he's not doing any kind of healing work here, right? So as you can see, like he's berating her for her actions as a single woman now, right? He is swearing at her. He is claiming that he is watching footage of her in the house. He's got people that he knows that are observing her and whatnot, like stalking her. Like these messages were really bad. He kept on like calling her disgusting and trying to shame her for, honestly, just trying to move on with her life. The amount of like trash that this man put her through, the amount of cheating he subjected her to. And he has the nerve to be upset that this woman who is now no longer in a relationship with him because she's separated is moving on with her life is disgusting. It's crazy. It truly is. And then we get a sit down conversation between Zach and Janet, you guys, in order to work through what it is that they had been going through. And honestly, I'm really happy about this, right? Because I don't like when people get into these kind of like stalemate situations where they stonewall each other, try to ice each other out and whatnot. So I'm happy that we're going to be able to move forward in a positive direction with these storylines now that they've gotten things out of the way. So it turns out that the stuff that we saw Zach say on air were peanuts compared to what he actually said that did not air, right? So what we saw was him saying things like, I don't care if I stress you out. And then, the girls, they stuck up for Janet. They said, listen, you cannot be stressing her out. You cannot be doing this, being so aggressive towards her. She's pregnant. And he's like, I don't care. And then they're like, do you know what can happen if you stress out a pregnant woman? He says, she'll lose the baby. And so basically, essentially, he did say that he didn't care if she lost the baby, right? So it was very, very like ugly stuff that he was saying, right? But she was willing to forgive him and to move forward. And again, apparently he said even worse than that, but it was not aired. In fact, it was so bad that his best friend, Brittany, went on to have a one-on-one conversation with Janet to spill the beans about what exactly it was that Zach had really said behind her back. But because at that point she had already left. Bunny says some American rehabs are like a spa. The clients aren't healing. They're taking up space and charging their insurance. Oh my God. That is so crazy to me because you would think like in order to really, truly heal, get to the root of everything that's going on with you, especially when you're spending that kind of money, you would be forced to kind of disconnect unless there's some kind of an emergency. Because to me, I think that it's really terrible that they have people sending these kinds of messages to their victims on their grounds. I think that they need to, re-up their policy because in my opinion, that is not acceptable. Now, you guys, speaking of Brittany being the one to run to Janet to let her know what it is that Zach said, and then like cause this massive rift or like exacerbate this massive rift. How did you guys feel about it? Was Brittany being a good friend to Janet or a shady friend to Zach? Like, how would you handle it if you were in that kind of situation, right? Because Brittany says that if she were, if the roles were reversed and Janet said something horrific about Zach, she would tell him. Zach doesn't believe her though, but just curious. East Awesome says malignant narcissists like Jax get worse with therapy. They become smarter manipulators. Also, he's already had therapy for a few years on Vanderpump Rules. He's changing in present day. He was bad from the start. And I agree. I don't think he has any kind of interest in changing as a person. And I think, even with his age, it's going to be really difficult because he's been able to get away with the way that he's always been for so long that I think that he likes the way that he is, right? Or even if he dislikes it, it's not enough to change, right? Jaleesa says, oh my God, I'm so tired of this pregnant talk with Janet. And me too, Jaleesa. I really hope that we are done with it after this episode, because to me, yes, it sucked or whatever, but like, I'm sure that there are more interesting storylines going on than that. East Awesome says Jax didn't go to rehab at all. He paid for the wellness mental health center. Well, no one. Okay, that makes sense, because the way that guy was so unprofessional on the phone, like, hey, is this Jax? We got a spot for you here at, the clinic. By the way, do you have the money? Like that sort of thing. Like that was weird. And I agree. I think that Brittany was being messy in that situation, because Janet and the rest of these people, they're her like friends from TV, right? That she met like being in this world. But Zach is her friend from back home in Kentucky too. And so to go behind his back like that was not cool, in my opinion. Now, speaking of Brittany, Kristen actually organized this really cool activity for the group, which is that like some sort of like an energy healer would be coming by, and then they would be doing these activities to help get rid of old energy and free up, pave the way for new energy, more positive energy to come through. And Brittany just kept on laughing at it. And I kind of felt bad for the lady, like everybody else seemed to be taking it seriously. It looks like Michelle's laughing with her here, but she was just kind of like, when someone's being a little bit childish and you kind of like smile, but then eventually you ignore them. It was that kind of a situation. It was mainly Brittany just laughing up a storm. And, it's rude because, what this lady is doing is a little bit avant-garde. And like, it's different and whatnot, but like, it's her business, and, she's bearing her soul, and she wants everybody else to participate. And, you want like a comfortable atmosphere free of judgment. And so the laughing, in my opinion, wasn't cool. And she did it more than once or twice. She just kept going at it, and it wasn't cool, but she did, participate nonetheless. So that at the very least I can give to her. Jesse was incredibly emotional throughout this entire thing. Like when they were doing the drop your old energy, pick up the new stuff, he didn't participate. He was too sad at the idea of getting up and, being met with kind of Michelle's frosty, stare and whatnot. So, but he was taking it seriously, but he didn't want to get up for that moment. He was an emotional wreck for that. I do have to say, you guys, that I was quite surprised when Jason talked about suffering with insecurity. So he said that he wanted to like let go of insecurity and embrace confidence. And you guys know I'm in love with Jason, y'all. I am in love with Jason. Oh Lord. Okay. Like he is so beautiful to me. Truly, truly beautiful. And so, when I see him, I see someone who's handsome, who's tall, great skin, great body, right? Great career, right? So to me, like, I was like, really? Like, what are you insecure about? Like, what do you have to be insecure about? That's so crazy to me, but I digress, right? I don't know. So that was really, really interesting to me. I think it's always like the beautiful people. And we talked about this with Megan Fox yesterday, right? And how she wound up in such a toxic relationship with Machine Gun Kelly, and how it's kind of indicative of the fact that, maybe there's some issues with self-love going on there. So that broke my heart for him, Jason. I said, is Janet not building you up enough? Come over here. I'll build you up, boo. Normally I'm not into like, people with kids, but bring your child too. You know what? For you, I'll make the exception. I'll be the stepmom. Jaleesa says a friend to all is a friend to none. Brittany, I agree. Gail says, I hate when people have to be racist. The color of your skin should not matter. It doesn't matter to me. One of my best friends is a Black woman and I'm a white woman, and me and her are like sisters. I agree. This is the kind of world I want to live in, Gail. Unfortunately, though, we're not there. Did y'all see that lady who was calling this child the N-word at the park? And then she goes online and she raises $600,000 so she can move, because the community was horrified, but there's a lot of racists online who supported her. You know what, channel members, please remind me. I'm going to do a video for you guys on like an experience I had like that back in was this the 90s? I want to say this was the 90s. Oh Lord, the stories I could tell y'all. It actually reminded me of like a park experience I had as a Black girl in this tiny little, white town with one traffic light. It was not good. It was similar to that. East also says Brittany betrayed a childhood friend, a friend she trusted to help. Brittany has bad judgment. And I agree. That was not cool at all. I wonder if she did it for the show or truly as a friend to Janet, right? Because that wasn't cool. I think as a friend, if what your friend did was so bad, you talk to your friend about it and you say, do not speak like that. That was disgusting. And you leave it at that. You don't go and, light a fire, light a match. Bunny says, Jax is whining. He said he should have never married. He's not cut out for monogamy. And I agree. And why didn't he just leave the girls alone? That's the thing about him and the Sandoval and the Shorts. They cannot be in monogamous relationships, yet they keep on insisting on having monogamous girlfriends. Just go hook up with all these people that you want to, right? And just stop bothering these girls and tormenting them emotionally, right? Tyrell says, I'm white, but my name makes people think of a black guy. Oh, I hear so many stories about people like that, and the reverse as well, and how that impacts them. It's just such an interesting rabbit hole. Hey, Bree, I really don't like Brittany after this episode. The fact she's going through something so traumatic and then laughing at this lady, she could use this as a tool to heal. I agree. I was really, really disappointed by her behavior there. I do think that she could have done a lot better, right? Isn't he so hot, Acacia? Oh my God. Every time I see him, I'm like, Jason, please. My goodness gracious, he's too handsome. Now, you guys, I did have a question for you, actually, which was about the guy with the drinking problem, Danny. So at a certain point, he has to leave, right? Where's my picture of him having to leave? Here he is. He's got to leave before everybody goes to bed and whatnot, as they're wrapping up with this activity, right? I'm like, he claimed that he had a voiceover gig in the morning and he'd be back the next day. And I'm like, did Danny really have a voiceover gig? Or did he have to leave because he's got a problem? He can't control himself. The last time they had a sleepover, he got wasted and just, it was really embarrassing for himself and for Nia, and it was obnoxious. And then the other time that he was around the group, it wasn't a sleepover this time, but he had put his hands inappropriately on Jasmine's thigh meat, slapped her girlfriend's behind. So I would consider this personally to be SA. He allegedly SA'd 2 women. So I get the feeling that because alcohol is involved and his wife typically has excuses all the time for why they have to go before he gets too wasted. I think she said, no more sleepovers for you. We're going to make up a reason for why you need to go home and why you conveniently can be back the next day. I do not think that he had to go away for a voiceover thing, and that is why he had to do it personally. Ali says he has a problem, but he can't control himself, and I absolutely agree. It's not good. It's not good at all. Jaleesa says, Nia said, you're not embarrassing me. Get your ass home with those kids. Exactly, right? Who's falling for that? I'm not, right? SA cheating, right? Why was that swept under the rug? They acted like it was so casual. They mainly discussed it on the after show and not the main show. These are very serious things that happened, right? Including in his marriage, right? Is me, you know what I mean? Nia, you're such a beautiful, sweet angel. What? This man's cheating on you? That's weird. This man's a creep. That's weird, right? And then we also had Jax sending in a video from his rehab, right? And so he's just talking about how he's mad he's there. He's blaming Brittany for everything. Man, you are pushing 50 years old and you still cannot take responsibility for your trash behavior. And I find that to be so damn disturbing. He should honestly be ashamed of himself at this point, because that is just ridiculous. How are you blaming Brittany? The only thing Brittany has done is accept too much of your BS. She has never done anything negative towards you for you to be playing victim with, come on now. We're not falling for this, right? And so for the last activity, they had to pass this ball around and share sad memories and happy memories, right? And so we get to see old photos of Jesse and Michelle's relationship during better times, how they were traveling the world, how they looked so happy together and whatnot. And so he throws his ball to Melissa, which symbolizes that she has to share a good memory that she had with the person who threw the ball, Jesse, right? And so here he is, he's sobbing as he throws off the ball, right? And so she says, it's really hard to think about a good memory with him, somebody who has hurt me so much, but my good memory, a happy memory I have with him, is when we decided to have our daughter, when we decided to have a child. And he just breaks down crying. It was so sad. And all the other couples were crying together. And I think it's kind of one of those things where you're to quote Sex and the City, where does the love go? They had so much love between them. They shared so many years between them, right? Same with Jax and Brittany, right? There was a real love there, especially from her to him. And, and then all of a sudden it's all gone and it's replaced with rage, anger, hatred, hurt, trauma. And so these other couples, obviously, you know, they're all grown people. They've been in these relationships in the past, right? Where there is love, then it turns to hate, or it turns to this or that. You know, I think there's also like a worry too, right? Like, you know, my boo over there, Jason, he's a new dad, right? So there's the idea, and then Kristen and Luke, like they're trying to have kids. And so maybe the idea of like, wow, like it's so crazy. Like you never know who this is going to happen to. Like, it's just so sad and it's so relatable. Right. By the way, speaking of Kristen and Luke, she unfortunately like missed up her timing for her ovulation. And so she missed the window for the month. And so she was very sad about that. But listen, I like Luke's optimism. We'll get him next month. Don't worry. Right. And so now we know that they are expecting a child and everything. So everything did end up working out as well. So I think that that was a really, really beautiful thing. Bunny says, I had a relative who spent his non-working hours drinking hard liquors, yet he was so sober enough to work an 8 to 5. That's crazy to me. Oh my God. Like the hangovers on hangovers daily. Ali says, Jax can shove it where the sun don't shine. And I agree. Hey, Coconut called. I had no idea he was cheating. Well, yeah. Is that not cheating when you are flirting with other women? You're rubbing your hand all up and down their thighs. You're saying, get daddy a drink. You're slapping other women in the ass and stuff. To me, like, that's already really terrible, right? But it's also indicative that this guy probably does worse when he's not with his co-stars, when there are no cameras, and when his wife is not around. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was like a Tom Schwartz, like blackout, go all the way, and then act like you didn't know, you know, what happened, sort of a deal. Lisa says the last little montage of Michelle and Jesse actually made me cry. I was like, what the hell? Me too. I was tearing up because again, it's so sad. And I feel like so many of us have, you know, been there, you know, like in these like relationships where there's so much love there. And then like, you know, it just gets chipped away, eroded with like all of these like, you know, negative things that happen. And then it just poof, disappears. And, you know, it's just so damn sad. It really, really is. So, you know, I definitely felt for them in that moment. It's awesome says Jesse Lolly. Every time you say Jesse Lollipop, it makes me laugh like it's the first time. Wants to bully Michelle into taking him back. Sorry for the awful typing. I'm doing cables at the gym. Oh, not the cables at the gym. Okay, hot stuff. And live streaming. I love that. Oh my God. And yeah, I agree. I think he kept on trying to force interactions with Michelle, but it's too late, Jesse Lollipop. It's too late. So, you know, he went from really emotional and sad, you know, and vulnerable to, you know, freaking out, stomping away, you know, stripping down to his undies like a child having a tantrum when, you know, Jason went to check on him and he's like, you go back there and blah, blah, blah. I was like, what happened? Like the flip was like that. And it was actually kind of creepy, but I digress, you guys. Anyway, that was a recap of what went down on last night's episode of The Valley. Like, it was a really good show, you guys. It really, really was, right? Jalisa says, Jesse is crying because he knew he was a devil to Michelle. And you know what? I really do believe that he was a nightmare to deal with, because there was even an interaction that he had with Janet over there. Like when they first got to that place where, what happened? Like, you know, like it was so innocuous at first, and then he escalated it over his ex-girlfriend or something. And like, you know, Janet was like, why are you so worried about this chick? You're not even with her. Like, you know, you got to, you know, your ex-wife, the mother of your child, like, why are you antagonizing things over a chick you're not even with? And you only dated for like a couple of months, right? And he's like, you don't even know what you're talking. Like, he just jumped down her throat. It was like, okay, like you seem really difficult. I see why Michelle has to shut down with you. It looks harsh from the outside looking in, but listen, if you've ever been with a person like Jesse Lollipop, like East Awesome says, then you understand why she has to be harsh with him. Hey Jay, good morning. So nice to see you. Thanks so much for popping in. I'm sorry that we're like, you know, kind of rounding it out here. It's kind of, we're reaching the end of the morning report, but I'm so happy that you're here, and I hope you get to join us for the Playback Posse. Sandy, thank you so much for becoming a channel member. That is so nice of you. And I hope you enjoy the new videos that, you know, that came out yesterday. Plenty more to come. Tadisha said earlier, the game also just had a baby with Evelyn Lozada's daughter, Shanice. I wonder where he's going to live and how the custody exchange will go. He also has 2 other children by his ex. Dude, this guy always has like small children. Like, for the 15 years that I've heard of this man, he's been raising small children. Like, it just, You know, like every time you think the ones you've got are grown up, gonna get out, like boom, in come new small ones. Like, dude, do you not get tired? And good question, is he still with Shanice? Because maybe he might have to shack up with her because, you know, he's about to be homeless, y'all. It is not looking too good for that man at all. And good morning, Denise. I hope everything's going well for you at your doctor appointment, by the way. So nice to see you. Sorry, you guys, I'm catching up on some of the other messages that I had bookmarked to get back to. Before I signed off. Okay. So Tyrell had said, I can't believe it's supposedly wanting Leah back. Amber's blatantly doing things Leah asked her not to, right? Get off your phone ranting, all for views. She's like my mom when needed nothing any other. And you know what? And I'm sorry that you had a mom like Amber as well, Tyrell. Like, and that's why I do not like Amber's child psychiatrist, right? Like Amber's child psychiatrist keeps on enabling her. Everything is, it's okay that Amber does this because she's mentally ill. Like, no, give her other tools. If she's seeking validation, what is the substitute for social media validation, doc? Quickly give her something else that she can do, because this is harming her relationship with her daughter, right? So Lisa says, I agree with Janet. I would have cheated on you too. Listen, same here. That man is exhausting. He's cute. He's beautiful with his big Bambi eyes, right? Bambi ad beat. But he's irritating and he's exhausting, and I wouldn't be able to be with him either. And that body, let me put that picture back up there. That body was bodying too, but not worth it. I would stick to a nice, serene, calm, handsome, beautiful angel man like Jason first. Jason, he's just, oh God, I'm obsessed. Anyway, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in and joining me for another episode of the Morning Report. Per usual, I had a great time chatting with you all. And thank you guys for sharing your personal stories as well. Special shout out to you, Gail and Terrell. Hope you guys are doing well. And I'm so sorry to hear about, you know, some of the issues that you guys were talking about having. And I hope that things go in a better direction for you. And, you know, thank you all so much for being here. Don't forget, we go live every single weekday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk about the day's hottest stories. I'm getting ready to go off to Aikido class, martial arts, you guys, and I'll let you know how it goes tomorrow, right? It's an activity that I do with my friend. He got me signed up for it, and I'm really looking forward to it. Take good care of yourselves, you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye now.